But I grew up in that perspective, and then and then I just remember like bonding with certain friends over these type of genres. And I just remembered when I was growing up, like I think it was like elementary school, I think there was like these group of guys, and they were just talking about, Jackass. And I was just like, "Oh, like I think I've heard of that TV show." And the more they were explaining like certain scenes of like the episodes that they were coming out like almost every week or whatever, how often it was, like they would talk about it in length. And I'm here like, I think I've seen that episode before, have I not? And then so eventually years passed, and I became like that type of girl, I would say, that wanted to fit in with a group of guys and this and that. And so they were like, "Oh, a girl shouldn't like any of this stuff, that this is just not your cup of tea." And I just remember trying to show off in a way, and I was just like, bruh, like I love watching Jackass, I love watching this and this and that. And they were like, "No, we don't believe you, this and this." And then so it introduced like this I don't know, maybe like this awakening or something. I don't know, maybe it was just like me or them or something, but I just remembered like telling them about like one of my favorite scenes from Jackass, which I think it is as of today because of how funny it is. And of course it's disgusting, and believe me, if you do not want to Google this or anything, do not. Like, it is just one of those stupid things that I remembered me liking as a kid so much, and then now looking back on it, I'm like, it's still funny, but like for somebody, from like a stranger's perspective, it is very disgusting. And so you've been warned. But one of my favorite scenes from Jackass was the omelet, and it still is as of today. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, good for you. That means you have like watched a lot of episodes of Jackass. For for those that don't know about it, please don't Google it, because you might actually get scarred and all that. If I'm just saying, do not, because like a lot of people did not grow up actually watching Jackass like I have, or like a few of my friends did. So I warn you, do not Google it. But anyway, but like I remember telling these guys like in detail of like how I saw it in the episode, and they were kind of like, "You know what, you're kind of all right." And so since then, I've had like a lot of guy friends. I mean, sure, I had a lot of girlfriends too, but they did not stick around as much as I thought they were going to anyway. And the ones that did stick around was like all the way till like high school for sure. And then I made more girlfriends along the way where they were more like into gaming, a lot of anime, and then a lot of them had like a lot of good hobbies like acting, writing, reading, drawing, this and that, that type of thing. And it was really nice, because it was just like it's like this group of friends I made in high school. They had like this own eclectic thing when it comes to music or their hobbies or their likes and this and this. And we were kind of like, there to bond over it, or to, get to know certain genres of like the hobbies and this and this. And so I remembered, like, even up until like high school, I remember these group of guys, well, like, they got to know me over the years for sure. And to be honest, I wish I knew their names. It was just so long ago, but kind of like you don't remember names, but you remember faces. And so these faces were like kind of like scattered throughout my whole time in high school and this and this. And they heard, and they're like other guys, especially in my classes that I've been to when I was like in like sophomore and junior year. Like, they wanted to get to know me a lot more just because of like my reputation and this, which was like really strange. And so it led to like me having more guy friends in class, and then me trying to explain like these guys to, like the friends that I made during lunch and this and this. It was just like really crazy. I'm sorry, I'm playing with my hair, you guys. It is a very frizzy day today. It's gotten windy and cold right now, and like my hair is a mess. Like, just ignore it. I've been playing with it for so long. And so I would tell them, especially like with a lot of the guy friends that I made over the years, and and tell them like, you know, I like this and this and this. And then they were like, oh, we never heard of a girl that likes games or anime and this and this. And it's just like, yeah, I really like it. And so so they thought that maybe like certain genres or certain subjects were kind of like more towards of a male audience, and that was not really true. Because I remember, I don't know if I should mention like real names or not, but like I remember an English class. I think it was like my sophomore or junior year, if I can remember. But maybe I should use the real names. It's not like I'm gonna, it's not like I don't know them anymore, and I don't even know if any of these people are like, or my friends are associated with them. But like, I remember this one guy. He sat, I want to say, he sat in front of me. Yeah, he sat in front of me, and he was the first one in the row, and his name was Joe. He, or well, his real name was Joseph, but like, he'd rather be called Joe. And so he would, like, he was like kind of like the popular guy in school. One of them, I should say. Rhea knew him and all this and that. So it was kind of like, once he knew my relationship with Rhea, or like anybody from the popular kids knew my relationship with Rhea, and then like Yvonne and this, they would come to me, and just like for some reason they wanted to befriend me. And so he was like one of them. And I just remembered, like, he was not in a very good mood for some reason that week of, like, of that time in class. And I just remembered, like, I printed out some photos in a library at the time, because I didn't have any, like, printer or anything or any access to the internet in the case. But I remembered I was, like, really good friends with the librarian at the time, and I told her that I wanted to print out some photos that I could decorate my folder. And she was like, do you have any access to like a public library? And I said, I do, but I was hoping to print it out here, since like I wanted to do this like right now. And she was just like, okay. So then she charged me for like the pages. And at the time, if you printed out pages, like if it was black and white, they charge you like 10 cents. And then if it was in color, it would be like 15-20 cents or something like that. And I didn't care. I was just like, I have the money, I'm gonna go do this. And I just remembered printing out like all these photos and like certain pages, and then I ended up paying like maybe like $1 or something. And so I remember I was doing like an art project throughout like the span of class, right? And so I was like cutting all these photos out, and I was putting them like in my binders. And like, especially if it has like the clear case on top, like in the front where you can, like a pocket type of thing. And then so you slit like photos or your class schedule or this and this. And so you kind of like, you know, showed off your personality with your binder, that type of time. And so I remembered I came from like the library at the time, and I just like rushed to like my English class, sat down, grabbed a pair of scissors out of my backpack, and I was cutting out these photos. And then this guy that was sitting like right behind me, and like, and I don't know if you guys knew about this, but like I had like a little bit of a crush on him, because like not only was he cute, but like he and I just clicked really well. Like he and I just like, whatever we were talking about, it was kind of like we were besties, you know, kind of like if we brought up one subject, like let's say for an example, anybody that's like brought up a subject, or if I brought it up, and let's say, you know, like, oh man, I just had a chocolate chip cookie this morning and it was really, really good. He would respond to it like, I love chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, really? And it's like, yeah, like I will love to go get one right now. And I remember at some point I was doing like desserts and this and that. And I remembered like, I was really good friends with the lunch lady also. And I remember paying for like 2 chocolate chip cookies at the time. And I remember giving him one, and it was like one of those big, cookies, you know. And I remember he was like so ecstatic. He was just like, oh my god, you actually bought me a cookie. And I just said, yeah, like, did you want one or no? If not, I'll give it to somebody else. And so we were having like those type of like conversations. And then so eventually it got to the point where I was making like homemade Japanese chocolates, this and this, and he will love it. And then a girl that sat right next to him, and on his left, her name was Nancy. And she was kind of like, you know, she was the girly girl, but you know, she was like a little bit more tomboyish than girly girl. And she was trying to like I don't know if she was trying to be friendly with Scott or not, but like it was just so funny. But anyway, at the time I remembered I gave him like a little bit of my Dr. Pepper, I think, because that was like one of those days where you know, my other crush that I had a crush on since like freshman year, that was in the water polo team. He like was not there that day for some reason, or he just showed up late and he didn't want nothing to drink. So I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna, and I literally told him I'm just gonna share my Dr. Pepper with my friend Scott, and then for some reason he got mad. And so that day I showed up with Dr. Pepper, and Scott was just like, hey, do you think I could have some? And I said, yeah, sure. And so I gave him the soda. I turned around because usually my like our type of conversations, we would like I'll turn around, give him something that he'll want, we'll talk for a little bit, and then when class started we'll turn around. This time I did not do that. Like I just remembered I gave him the soda, and then I turned around and I remembered I was working on, you know, cutting out pictures. And at this time I was cutting out like Jak and Daxter, I was doing Medieval and Xenosaga, Persona 3, and some other, you know, other video games that I was really interested in. And on the back side of my binder, I was doing album covers. And of course, me being a Limp Bizkit lover, I had all of the covers for the albums that were there at the time. And so, but they didn't pay attention to that. They were just mainly like video games. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, there's a girl that likes video games? That's fucking crazy. And then I'm like, oh, like, just hold on. And then so I just remembered I took like the logo to Jackass for the TV show, and I would put it in the front also. Scott immediately was like taking a sip of this Dr. Pepper, looked over my shoulder, and was just like, what the hell, you like this? And I was just like turning around like, yeah, I do. Like, what's the problem? It's like, I have never heard of a girl that would like these type of things. And I was just like, yeah, like I have an older brother that taught me these things. And he's like, I have an older sister, but she never taught me these things. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So we were kind of bonding more like we usually do in those days. Immediately, Joe turned around, looked at my binder, and he was just like, so you like Jak and Daxter, huh? And I was just like, yeah, I have a brother that has all the games and he's let me play it. And I have other games that he has that's let me play it. And he was just like, what other games do you like? And other than, you know, like what I've seen here. And I was still cutting at the time. I was still cutting it. And I was just like, I turned around the page and it had the cover for, you know, I keep forgetting like how to say it in order, but it's Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. And he, like, I could see his eyes lit up. He was just like, I have never heard of that game before. What is that? And so I told him what it was about. And he's like, I want to play that game. And I said, well, do you have a PS1 or PS2? He's like, I do. I have a friend that might have it and might have that game. And I just said, play it. I'll give you a week to play it and then come back to me and we could talk about it. And Scott was just like, I should come over to your house and to see if I can play it. And he was just like, hey, the more the merrier. And so this led to this genre or like this subjects, I should say, subjects where like apparently girls started liking video games more than just most guys nowadays or something, or like there was like a bigger audience now for females to really like some guy stuff. And so they were just like, and I remembered a week later, Scott went to go hang out with Joe a lot, played this game. They were very baffled by the graphics, and then they just couldn't talk to me like normally anymore. Like they were kind of like careful with their words at first because they were just like, well, you're a girl, like, you know, we should be careful around girls. And then after that day, we started talking like we were boys, you know, and like we were talking shit. We were we were talking about like some other genres, this and this. And then so it kind of like made me really happy because I'm like, I finally found something that I could actually like express myself as like, you know, a person that really likes these type of video games or like anime and this and this. And then I'm able to talk about it with a different type of, you know, gender at the time. And so I remember Joe just wanted to be my friend the whole time. And and I hear, and my mind was still kind of like, he's still friends with Rio. What if he's just trying to get close to me, this and this? And, I didn't hear no, kind of like venomous area. I don't know how to explain it, but like maybe I could read by the tone of his voice, like that was not the case anymore. He just wanted to be my friend. And so that's what happened. And so I remember they were talking about like latest episodes from like online videos, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know nothing about that, but I just know about this. And so since then, we were talking about like, kind of like Viva La Bam, Jackass, of course, and this and this. And then so of course, my English teacher overhears all this, and this is disgusting. You should not be talking about this in my class. And I'm just like, oh, sorry, whatever. But like, maybe you shouldn't pay attention to our conversations. Oh, he did not like that at all. But like, these guys defended me, and I was just like, I'm just saying, because we hear conversations all the time from teachers, and we shouldn't even be listening on them. That's why we have our own conversations, so we can ignore you guys. You can do the same thing for us. And teacher did not like that. He had a parent-teacher conference with my mom at the time. Did not like that at all. My mom just said, fuck you to that teacher, and just moved on. It was just so funny. I don't know what happened. Oh, one of the little thingies fell out. I think it was from the buffet piece. I was just playing with this piece right here. But anyway, so after that, it was just like, it felt like it was like a normal time for me, that type of thing. Like, it felt like whatever friends I made along the way, like they either stayed or they just enjoyed the ride. And it was just mainly like, this girl that really likes video games. And I just remember those conversations very well. And especially since like I was talking to a lot of guys over the years that just, I would tell them I have an older brother that introduced me these things, and then they never believed me till I showed proof and this and that. And then so as years went by, or at least the time went by in that English class, and then if I did had either Scott or Joe in my class, they would sit with me or near me, and they will always want to know what was like the new thing with me. Like maybe, maybe she's into a new anime or a new video game and this and this. And then so I would tell them that like, oh, my brother got me into this. And then that was when it was kind of like the, kind of like what clicked into their brain. Because I told them that I really got into racing games. And I would tell them about like my love for Gran Turismo and Driver 5 and or Racer 5. I don't remember the actual one, but what was the other one? Well, other than, Need for Speed Underground 2, that also was another one of my favorites. But there were some other racing games that my brother had that I just didn't remember what else he had. And I played with my sister and all that. Excuse me. But now it was kind of like, oh, there is no way this girl loves to play racing games. And then I'm just like, I could prove it to you, like, let's just hang out with you, and like I'll bring over the game or this and that. And then at the time there was a party that I think it was like one of those end of the year parties that like some students wanted to do, so that way, kind of like, oh, we're about to go to the next year of our lives. And it was like from junior year to senior year, that type of thing. And I remember Scott was telling me like, hey, I have the system and the game. Like, if you come over to my house, we could actually play this. And I was just like, all right, cool. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but I remembered I was hanging out with my friends at the time. I left early. It was like one of those days that like, not many people showed up to like Stoner Park and this and that. And so I remembered I left. I went to go to like the address that Scott gave me. I went over to his house, and it was a very lovely home, to be honest. Like, it was very lovely. And he introduced me to like these other friends that he's made. And of course, a majority of them, they were popular, of course. And I forgot that he was one of them just because of my association. And then plus with Joe trying to be my friend, that type of thing. And so I was like, oh boy, I'm going to be so bored at this party. I'm going to be probably the only girl that is going to be playing video games and this and this. And so what was really interesting was that most of the majority of the popular kids were sort of like, who is this girl? Like, we don't know nothing about her. Rhea came over, introduced me to them, and then we were kind of like, buddy with everybody. And then I'm just like, well, I came here for the video games. I'm gonna go. And so Scott found me again during the party. We went, he and we went to his bedroom to go play it. And then, of course, Joe was there and some other kids that were very interested in the game. And so I told them, like, I'm so good at Underground 2. You, like, I'm not kidding you. I am really good. Like, I even beat my brother's records on all the races on there, and he's been playing it way more than me. And he's just like, you know, I don't believe you. Like, you need to prove it. And I was like, I bet. And so he brought out some other racing games also. I just didn't remember what they were at the time. And it was just like a lot of tuning, you know? And so I was tuning the cars to my liking, and Scott was very impressed, and so was Joe and everybody else. And they were just like, okay, maybe this girl knows what she's doing when it comes to playing video games. And I was just like, yeah, sure. I was, we did like a one-on-one race or this and that, because I think at the time they did some co-op on one of them, but it was just mainly like we were gonna do single player. Nobody had another controller or this and that, so like I said, it was just like a vague memory. But I just remember playing this racing game, and I remembered it was supposed to be like just a regular race. We do 3 laps, and then whoever has the fastest lap wins, and this and this. And so, but they let me do like a whole race by myself just to see if I was capable of. So I did this race, and I remembered like in the second lap, I was being distracted for sure, because they thought that I was actually beating their record or something. I don't know, but I got really distracted because one of them tried to tickle me, and I am not a person that likes to be tickled because I'm very easily ticklish. And so I did my best to, like, you know, concentrate on the race, and next thing you know, I won. I told them, like, here, I'm done with the 3 laps, here you go, you guys. They saw like my record on there, and like for one of the fastest laps I got was like I think it was like 47 seconds. And the guy was like, I don't believe this. I'm gonna see if I can beat it. So Joe grabbed the controller, he started racing. He had like the worst freaking race ever. I just remembered it, the race was supposed to be like at least the record at the time, it was supposed to be like, you know, 2 minutes 30 seconds, and if you can make it under that, like, you get like a medal in the game or something like that. He could not even beat it, and Scott tried, and Scott was so close. I felt so bad for him. He was only like 2 seconds over like that record, and I'm just like, oh, yeah. I was like, you know what? I should go home now. And they were like, no. We're going to run this shit again, and we're going to see if, like, you just have beginner's luck. And I was like, okay. And so in the background, they knew that I really love watching Jackass also. So some idiot was playing one of my favorite episodes on there, and it was like, you know, Steve-O with the goldfish, or just in general, like him on stilts. I don't know. It was just like one of those episodes, and I couldn't stop laughing because it was kind of like one of those things where you used to watch it over and over again as a kid, and you kind of memorize the lines from the show. And I would remember racing, and I was reciting the lines immediately in my head, and, you know, Joe and Scott were really laughing at me because they were like, oh my god, I can't believe you actually remember. And I was like, yeah. And so immediately I kind of beat the record that was on there by a few seconds. Joe tried, he failed. Scott was very close as usual, and he was just like, I don't believe it. So after that, we were kind of like buddy, you know, like we were friends for a little bit, and a lot of people were kind of confused, like why I was close to, you know, Scott and Joe. And after that, I remember telling my anime club friends about it, and they're just like, oh, that's really funny, that's really cool. And it's just like, so what, like, are you into like the popular club now? And I'm just like, fuck no. It was just like one of those things that I was just having fun at. And to be honest, I don't even remember if how I got home or not, because I don't remember if they dropped me off to my mom's house, or I told my mom the address and then she came to come and pick me up, which I really don't remember. But at the time, I would just remember feeling happy that I was just like, I finally made like guy friends through some other means. And even though it was influenced by Rhea, but I felt like I turned that around, I would say. I don't know, but it was very interesting. And so after that, I just remembered just him and like those two being really great friends to me. And if any of them had a bad day, like with, they had an argument with a girl or problems with a girlfriend, I was there to cheer them up. And then like I'll give them my iPod at the time. It could be the classic or the video. And I would show them, like, I have some episodes of, like, this show on there. You want to watch it? Or they'll listen to music. And then they were like, oh, well, I like this genre of music. I'm going to go listen to this. And I'm like, okay. And so, and I felt like that was the next step for me, was my taste in music. Oh, boy, that was such a subject that we kind of, like, fought over, I would say. And I feel like I should talk about this in a different video, because this video is already really long. But yeah. The song of the title just reminded me of a lot of good memories of me growing up, where I would try to fit in with like a group of guys that really like certain genres and subjects of stuff, and they never realized that a girl, especially someone like me, to like any of these things, and I always had to prove them wrong. So I felt like, Jackass was such a big part of my life. And, like, of course, my favorite one is Steve-O. And it, like, I still like Bam Margera. Like, I remembered for a while, like, I really liked Steve-O, and I still do. And then eventually I started liking Bam Margera because, like, he was just a really funny guy. And he pulled out, like, a lot of pranks on his parents and this and this. So it's just, like, it was just really funny. And then, like, when I was, like, going through, like, me liking all these type of genres of music and media and this, it was just like I never thought I'll be able to make friends this way, that type of thing. So I don't know, it was just so interesting. It was just like, so, like, yeah, girls like guys things, and and vice versa, that type of thing. And so, and I remembered a lot of my friends, especially when I was in the anime club in my high school, I had to prove a lot of them wrong, and a lot of them did believe me, and I don't know, it was just really fun to prove them wrong. A lot of them, they just want to know how, like, knowledgeable I am in a certain subject, and I had to go prove them wrong. And some of them did give me, like, more information. I was just like, good to know. I am glad, because I could use that for the next time somebody else tries to mess with me or this and this. But honestly, nobody messed with me. It was just like, oh, I don't think you know about this very well. And I'm like, no, I don't. Well, would you care to explain? Or if I did know the subject very well, I'll tell them, like, how I know about this. And then they'll, either, kind of like correct themselves, or they'll correct me. I don't know. But it was like that since I was growing up. And oh boy, I am going to talk about, like, my experience with wrestling, hopefully in a future video, because oh boy, a lot of guys growing up did not believe me that I liked watching like WrestleMania or WWF or AEW or this and this. Like, nobody believed me. So I can't wait to talk about that subject in a different video. So for now, I'm gonna leave it right here. This was like a very all over the place type of video. It was just one of those things where immediately, like, this song just made me remind me of, like, how much I had to go prove to a lot of guys growing up, and especially in school, that, like, just because you have an older sibling, that doesn't mean that you should like something that they show you. And I'm like, well, I'm one of them. Like, whatever my brother introduced me to, like, I started liking it. So he likes South Park, I like South Park. And then he likes certain types of music, I will like that too. And so he's, like, one of my biggest influences as of today. And, like, it's what made me what I am today. So, and as also growing up, I have met other girls that went through the same thing. Like, that was like, oh, no girl should ever like this. And then they proved them wrong. And so that's why as of today, I am friends with certain girls that, that had the same mentality and the same, the same lifestyle, that type of thing. And how they grew up, it's, of course, is differently than mine. but they still came to the same conclusion, like, yeah, I'm a girl that likes this and this and this, and I'm just like, me too, and like, we should be friends, and then we're friends as of today. So anyway, I'm gonna stop this video here. I think it's warm enough now in my house to start cleaning up, because you guys, it is a huge mess. I have boxes everywhere. I haven't even made shorts yet on YouTube about this, because what I wanted to do was unbox it and show you guys what it was about, and then show you the artwork for the tarot cards from Spencer's. And I wanted to do that so badly, and hopefully eventually you'll find those videos sometime soon on this channel. So let me go right now. I gotta go. Let me go clean up, and then I gotta start doing dishes. Hopefully it got warm enough for me to actually like not wait on the hot water to turn on. So anyway, hopefully you guys have a lovely day and a lovely week, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye everyone.